Welcome to the Marxist perspective, and this is longer perspectives, and this is part two on capitalism and the economic racism that exists in capitalism, and racism and classism hand in hand, because on one hand, um, you have people not recognizing that the system of capitalism in the United States of America is an inherently racist system. Even the capitalists say this. So, anybody that wants to criticize me, I suggest you read people like Milton Friedman, okay? Milton Friedman's not somebody that he did not admire Magna Carta by any means, okay? So, when I'm criticized by these people that think they're libertarians, and they say, we have equality, racism is dead. It is not dead. And systemic racism exists generationally. Now, I'm going to bring up, I said in this subtext, the forgotten people of the United States. And I hear this, and I can't stress this enough, the forgotten people. And you want to talk about the racist economics of capitalism? The forgotten people are our indigenous brothers, sisters, and siblings who live isolated in poverty in a great majority of places. And not that it's them, they had their entire civilization total upheaval. And again, how many treaties did the United States keep with our indigenous brothers, sisters, and siblings, the true founders of this country, the civilization that existed for thousands of years, the Cree, the Lakota? Who was it? How many of those treaties? Not one. We didn't keep one treaty with them. We broke every one. Our government broke every one. Okay? And I have heard throughout my lifetime that Native Americans get casinos and they get to sell tobacco and these kind of things. Well, a whole population was decimated. Think of a people that to them, like the idea of private property was madness. Like, what were these Europeans talking about with this private property concept? And they saw the land as a common treasury for the most part. Women could leave husbands in 80% of Native American cultures and tribes, from Micmac up in Maine, Quebec, and into northern Canada. And then if you go down, like you have Potawatomi to the go south. Also, when you go into the Midwest, you get Potawatomi, Cree, Lakota. These people were not savage people, but Europeans used racism in this country, and this is not some bygone thing. Don't say, "Well, that was so long ago." No, 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 no. The Indian Wars were America's longest running war. It's the longest war we've ever been in, and second to the war in the Middle East and Iraq and Afghanistan, which just continues infinitum. It's a capitalist war. It's a war because, again, do you notice how under capitalism, people that are not part of the ruling majority always come out on the bad end of a deal? Okay, so did the Native Americans make out by having their entire way of life upended? Mass Holocaust of Native American people, okay? And then people then had the audacity in the 70s to try to take more. You had horrible racism against Native Americans in the 70s. And if you, again, look to a lot of the great films, documentaries, and articles and books that were written on this subject, and study people like Leonard Peltier, who was pardoned by Joe Biden at the end of Joe Biden's presidency. Joe, you should have done it a long time ago. Leonard Peltier did not belong in prison. Again, that is the racism of it, because we have people pardoned all the time by the current regime that commit horrible acts. I'm not going to go into that, but these people getting pardoned by the Donaldino Trumpolini are not the best and brightest, and not the kindest and best people. So I say, like anybody that says Would you want the J6ers to fill up your neighborhood and live next to you? I wouldn't. I would take anybody but them. Almost anybody. In any case, the Native Americans, at every turn, they couldn't be white enough. They were too native. They were pretending to be white. Oh, look at you. They couldn't ever be good enough. Their language wouldn't be allowed. We made schools to make them forget who they were. This country worked so hard. And in fact, if you want to go back in history, the racism of the economics of our country and capitalism were so bad that when the US government gave Native Americans land that nobody else wanted, so they said to the Native Americans, you were wronged as a people, so we're going to give you this barren wasteland, okay? And this was down south in Texas, believe Texas. This barren wasteland, well, they found oil there, okay? And these Native Americans overnight, the tribes that lived there, became rich overnight. And you know what happened? Immediately, capitalism said, oh my goodness, these people are trying to do what we do. Uh-oh. Why wasn't that okay for them to have land that was theirs, given it to? They find stuff and then they become rich. Now, they used a lot of that money in their own communities. There's a book called Killers of the Flower Moon, and that's, this turns into a book talk. Look at that. But Killers of the Flower Moon covers this and the birth of the FBI. We actually needed a Federal Bureau of Investigation in this country because deputy sheriffs, okay, and police agencies across the country were so racist and so motivated and bought by the capitalists that they would murder people, all right? And then we get into the class thing. It's very important to note that if you were a poor white person in 1906, your life was cheap, okay? If you were a 15-year-old kid and you worked in a textile mill, if you got sick and broke your leg and got blood poisoning, you would probably die. And your family would be devastated, but they couldn't do anything to help you. They couldn't pay to go to the doctor. They probably couldn't care for you because they'd be too scared of losing their place. So, that being said, people say that want to talk about equality and stuff that, oh, this poor white person was treated terribly back then. Yes, but if that person was black, they would be treated that much more terribly. If that person was part of a minority group, that much more, okay? So, I heard it said, good, another book, read the book by Jackie Robinson, okay, about the letters sent to him. And it makes me sick, especially growing up around the people I did and stuff, that people want to say that racism doesn't exist. And very well-meaning progressives will tell you that, at least we have equality, we've really gone woke. No, you know what's gone woke in this country? Things that don't affect minorities. That's what. Some things have changed for the better, but do you see they're coming after gay marriage? They are coming after the museums that celebrate and sing praise to the achievements of black people in this country. They're changing the names, which is crazy to me because, in my opinion, the people and generals of the Civil War, we should remember them in museums and we should keep rebel flags up to look at like we do Nazi stuff and say, look it, this happened. This was manufactured. They made uniforms for these poor white people to go fight for the rich man's way of ease. That's what the Civil War was. And those people tried to destroy our country. That's what the Confederate States of America did, okay? So those statues needed to go. Should we have statues like in Germantown? Should we have statues of Heinrich Himmler because a lot of people knew who he was? I mean, think of that for a second. So we take down statues of Harriet Tubman. They're taking down Sojourner Truth. Every day they are attacking black people. And this is Stephen Miller doing this because he is a Western chauvinist. But Stephen Miller forgets, where do we get numbers, letters? Where the peanut, man? Why can you not sing the achievements of people? Okay? Geniuses come from all people, criminals and geniuses alike. the length of a man's nose, okay, how he sees God, it doesn't make a man evil, it doesn't make a man good. It's the actions of people. By actions, capitalism in this country, and I'm not saying in other countries, because depending on how you view capitalism, you know, I'll give you the best case scenario, and I'll still show you that capitalism as a system in this country is a racist economic system. So let's say there's a guy that builds a wonderful store called Mr. Jenkins' Wonderful Store. And the whole town it's all small and junky, but then people go there and all over there, like, look at that store. We got to go, boy, howdy. So the town builds up a little bit, and Jenkins is like, we got a lot of money coming in. I don't know what to do with it all. Maybe I'm going to invest in a grocery. So we'll have a grocery store here with some real refrigerators. And then pretty soon, like, let's build a school. And why should we go 20 miles away? Let's build a hospital. So Mr. Jenkins is getting everything. And the money keeps coming in. And Mr. Jenkins, he's like, look at all this money I have. So Mr. Jenkins is a very kindly man. And then he has people in his town that are black people. He has people from all walks of life. Let's say it's the 1880s. He has people, they come in from the railroad. There's Chinese, there's all types of people. He says, look at this melting pot. What a wonderful thing, And he's a capitalist. He likes making money, and he's doing all these wonderful things. So this sounds good, right? That's capitalism. The free market. People are deciding what they want, and it's building schools and hospitals. Society's progressing under capitalism. But then all of a sudden, guess what? Old man Jenkins dies. He kicks the bucket. Oh my goodness. Well, his son's there waiting in the wings. And his son, what he likes to do is he likes to wear like a pointy white hood at night, okay? And he's friends with the governor of Alabama, all right? And he don't want no part of that reform. So all of a sudden, the nice black people that had all these wonderful things and everybody kind of was equal, immediately racism is thrown into it. Just because one capitalist died who was good and kindly, and then like a king, we see this in Europe, like a king, you have one good king who's good and kindly. I'm a Catholic king, and I'm going to be this way. And then a Protestant king. And you can switch that around. I'm not picking on one or the other. You could have a king that worshipped a banyan tree, and then the other king worshipped frogs. But the point is, we shouldn't be at the whims of these people. And if you follow the whims of the ruling class under capitalism in the United States, okay, I'll be very clear. Like, I will debate this all day. It's a system in this country that is based in racism. That is why we have wage slaves now. Because when slavery ended, these people's way of ease, okay, in the South, this weirdness, if you look into the eugenics of what they believed in the South, it is disgusting. It is almost like pre-Nazi. Like, you can see that Hitler studied like what slave traders talked about and stuff, in the way they like classified groups of people in like their skin color and stuff. So really study it, before you start saying like capitalism isn't racist, it gives everybody a square deal. Like, how dare I say that? And again, like, people always criticize me about Black Lives Matter. They say, you support that, it separates people. Black Lives Matter brings people together, and they fight for everyone. Okay, they are class conscious, they are social conscious, and they believe in justice and equality across the board. Really do. So there's a group, people try to say all lives matter. Hey, you can't say all lives matter because Black Lives Matter says that first, because they're simply saying all lives matter and Black Lives Matter too, and they just want people to remember that. And people should remember, when they remember Black lives, remember other people too. And I'll say it again, the Native American people in this country were forgotten. They were decimated, and it was a Holocaust. A Holocaust, okay? And it happened. That Indian War happened right through 1911, and it went on. Look at the 70s. That was in like my mom's lifetime. You see it. The FBI, the people that killed wild horses and sold them for dog food, they'd come and encroach on Indian land, ranchers. It was like the Wild West in the worst way. Like the Wild West, according to Cormac McCarthy, kind of Wild West. Like, where's the judge and the kid? If anybody's read Blood Meridian, they know what I'm talking about. That kind of craziness. And I'm not saying like, oh, white people are racist. That's what it is. I'm saying that capitalism as a system are, because I think all people can be racist. And I think that's where our next video, part 3, will go. So we're going to leave this one at that. Thanks again for joining me. And if you guys made it this far, anybody that watches the video this far, I'm going to tell you a secret. I have another channel that I've had for a long time. And it's not really a political channel, but it's called Lizards of the Toast. And I dare you, go on there and watch it. You guys can tell who I am. You can dox me in the comments to my subscribers on there. You guys have a good one.